Hello and welcome back to my channel. Sorry I'm a little late on my video. I'm trying to post one once a week, but last week I just was not in the right mindset, and I had actually filmed this, but I feel like it was just kind of all over the place because I just wasn't structured enough. Anywho, I have some notes here. I'm just going to kind of reference them occasionally and make sure I'm doing everything properly and getting all my points down. So, as promised, this video is going to be kind of about my overall health. So what that means is I'm going to go into my nutrition, and then I'm going to go into kind of my emotional well-being, if that makes sense. And they kind of go hand in hand a little bit, but yeah, so let's get started and get cozy. Okay, as you can tell, it's Christmas time, so I thought this was kind of a fun little setup that way. If you guys like Christmas as much as I do, you'll get all festive with me. So let's see what my first point is. All right, we're going to go kind of like I do in the other videos to my background with things, how I grew up. I grew up, you know, with not very much money, so our food was kind of more about the quantity rather than the quality. So organic foods or places like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or anything like that just kind of were out of the picture because we just really couldn't afford it, and we had to make sure that we had enough food to last us through the whole month or week or whatever. And one thing that I think really kind of shaped a little bit of my foundation for how I eat now is the fact that my mom always made sure to have really well-rounded meals. So we would always have a protein source, we'd always have a chicken source. We'd have a protein source, we would have a carb source, and we would have a vegetable source. And that's how we always ate, and every single meal was like that. So with that said, you know, we would have maybe some chicken, but then we would have like macaroni and cheese and then like frozen peas or something like that. So even though we had really well-rounded meals, we didn't really have the time or money to spend and invest in making sure they were good quality foods and hello big guy, making sure they were good quality foods and some like very nutritious foods, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So growing up, I just ate anything and everything. I loved hot Cheetos. That was like my jam. I could down a bag like nobody's business. I, you know, loved pizza. I loved ice cream. I loved Taco Bell. Like there was a phase where I was a little bit of a partier, kind of a grandma now, but I liked to party back then. And, you know, I remember saying like, oh, you know, great hangover foods are just greasy foods, which are, I mean, it's still true, but you know, when you're eating that a lot of the time, or I would be going to Taco Bell with my friends or something like that, and so fast food. I was tired all the time. I was always tired. I never really had just energy to do anything. You know, I'm kind of the queen of naps. I always have been. I mean, I still like naps, but I'm just not, I wasn't exhausted like I was then. I had stomach issues a lot that I thought were just normal. Like I thought, I didn't really relate them to food. I was just like, why is my stomach hurting? I thought maybe my pants were too tight. I'd get sharp pains all the time. Sorry if it's a TMI, but it's just gonna have to happen. But I'd be using the restroom all throughout the day constantly, and it just wasn't, I know now that that wasn't like normal, but at the time I thought it was normal. And so it wasn't really that I started to kind of learn that was not normal until this past year. And so I'm 20, just turned 26, so that, you know, 25 years of my life, that's how I lived and that's how I thought. So kind of what started to change is when I got into fitness. And to be honest, really when I moved out on my own, when I wasn't living at home anymore, because my mom, she is like, her jam is cooking. Like that's her like passion. She loves it, and she cooks amazing food and it's so good. But you know, with any amazing cook, it's not necessarily the healthiest. There'd always be like baked goods or something like that, or like one of my favorite meals was like fried chicken and mashed potatoes. And so it's hard when you're at home and you have such a loving mom and she just wants to like give you everything that you want, because you know that sometimes you don't need everything that you want, you know? So when I moved out on my own, Taylor and I are really strict with our budget. So we budget for everything that we're gonna be eating. We write a list for everything that we eat throughout the week for like breakfast, lunches, snacks, and dinner, and then we buy just on that list. So it really helped because I didn't have snacks anymore in the house that like if I had a sweet tooth, I could be like, oh, let me just go eat one of those, and then, or like eat the whole box so that way I don't have tomorrow and I can just restart tomorrow. I started to meal prep, and that was more so that I could have food for when I was at work. Like, you know, our budget was really strict, so it didn't a lot to go out and eat every time for lunch or for breakfast or whatever. It did occasionally, just not all the time. So I meal prepped a lot, and the way it just kind of worked out was that Taylor ended up taking the leftovers for our dinner for meal prep, so I meal prepped my food on Sundays. And I basically just started out really basic. And I think that's like the key for anybody who finds that kind of stuff overwhelming, which I did, is just really start out super basic. If you don't have a good concept of like, you know, how nutritious different types of food are, or you know, like getting a well-rounded diet, start out super basic. Make sure you have some sort of protein, make sure you have some sort of carb, and make sure you have some sort of vegetable. And that's what I did. I don't really like leftover poultry, so it was kind of tricky for me. I had to get creative. I ended up eating a lot of ground meat or like minced meat because it just tastes less gamey when you meal prep, because I would be meal prepping for about 5 days. And I basically just did that, and then I really focused on my fitness, and I would still, you know, go out to eat with Taylor, or not just with Taylor, but like anybody. I'd still go out to eat and just order whatever I really was used to ordering, like whatever I wanted, like mac and cheese or pizza or fried chicken or stuff like that. And I didn't really have kind of a good concept. I started to develop it a little bit. You know, I started to really kind of think about, okay, well, you know, maybe I should have more vegetables, you know, just like a larger portion size, or maybe I should look into kind of more sustainable carb sources like sweet potato, or you know, like potatoes in general, because I just really love potatoes. So, and at the time, fun fact, I had only ever had like French fry sweet potatoes, and I didn't really like them. So it's different when you cut them up and bake them in the oven or do whatever yourself. It tastes different to me because you can put seasonings and stuff. Anyways, so I started to think a little bit about what I was putting in my food, and that was, you know, it was about 2 years ago. And then it was at the beginning of this year, so as you can see it's Christmas, so it's been about a year, that I really started to think about like, okay, I have been working out pretty consistently for a little while now. I make sure that, you know, like I have good variety in my workout, so I'm not constantly doing the same thing, like my body's jazzed up a little bit and kind of like surprised. And I just kind of didn't really feel like I was seeing the results. I was like, okay, so I'm just not seeing the progress I feel like I should be seeing. And I also started following a couple Instagram accounts and YouTube accounts, and they were more about like very kind of holistic living and like very good quality nutrition, well-rounded, things like that. And it just got me thinking. I started to pay attention to how I would feel after I ate the food. And so I lived my whole entire life thinking like once you eat lunch or dinner or your meal, you need a nap after because you're just gonna be really tired. That's normal. And then I started to kind of mess with my meals a little bit and switch them up and try like lighter sources of protein and like more sustainable sources of carbs and things like that. So I started to incorporate like fish and things like that, and I would notice after I worked or ate that I didn't feel really that tired. Maybe a little, you know, just because you're kind of relaxed, but I didn't really feel that tired. I actually felt like good and well-rounded, and I didn't feel bloated. Like I didn't feel like it was like hard to suck it in, you know. And that just got the gears turning, because I was like, okay, maybe food does have a lot more of an effect on your body than you think it does. And was I right? Very much so. And so that kind of just snowballed everything. I started to really find different sources of food and just kind of switch up my game a lot. So I still was having a hard time feeling the way I wanted to, and I just felt like, yeah, I was eating these healthy meals, but like, why am I still feeling weird? You know, like, why am I still having digestive problems or digestion? I was having problems in my stomach and so in my gut. And like, why am I like still having pain in my stomach? Like, why do I still feel like super bloated sometimes? And I listened, it was a combination of listening to a podcast and the different health accounts I was following that made me kind of realize. In the podcast, there was a nutritionist that came on, or dietitian, one of those two, who came on and said, when I work with clients, first I look at their fitness, and then I look at their nutrition, and if they're still not, if something weird is still going on, then you look into potential like food problems or like reactions to food. So that led me down the rabbit hole of I was speaking with my primary doctor as well as a naturopathic doctor. I'm very much into kind of trying to use holistic healing before anything else. So let me just reference my little sheet for a second. So I met with I had some tests done at both doctors. The majority of it was with my naturopathic doctor. And basically what everything came down to was I didn't have any food allergies, so I didn't have any immediate reactions to foods, but I had quite a few food intolerances. What also kind of led me to seek medical help was I started to notice like physical reactions. So when I started working out, I was on the whey protein train, and not that there's anything wrong with that, there's not. And I would start to get like huge lumps in my throat, it felt like, and I felt like I couldn't really swallow the whey all the way. And my chest started actually hurting. It would be like 2 hours after I drank the whey that like I would have these like really painful contractions in my chest. And I noticed a much milder version with a lot of different other things, like sauce made from sauce packets that like had whey in it. You know, a lot of dairy products, a lot of wheat products, and those were basically the two that I noticed it with, like bread and pasta and milk and yogurt and whey. So the test results came back, and dairy and gluten were definitely on there, and that had the highest reaction to them. And so basically what an intolerance means too is that they measure a certain, I think it's a hormone, I don't know, it's your IgG, but the lab that your doctor sends your blood work to measures this IgG, and it is measuring for reactions that can happen within 72 hours after eating that food. So you might not be feeling that pizza the day you eat it, but you could be dealing with it 2 days later, you know? And so I was reactive to, probably go count, I'll be right back. So it's been a few hours. My silly self forgot to hit play after I went and grabbed my list and didn't realize until I was editing. But anyways, let's get back into it. So I reacted to 28 different foods, and basically what what my naturopath told me was that because I reacted to so many different foods and at such a high level, that I have what's called leaky gut. That basically means your small intestine is too permeable, so when I eat, the food basically leaks into my bloodstream and just gets all sorts of crazy, and that's why I feel sick, feel overly bloated, have digestion, I really can't get this down, digestive problems, tummy problems, and all that jazz. So she put me on a 2-month, I forget the technical term for it, but like cleansing diet where I remove all the foods I react to, and she gave me a lot of herbal supplements to help line the coating of my intestine and help kind of reduce the inflammation and heal my gut again so it would act normal. And all in all, like, she basically told me that, and through my research, gluten and dairy are probably things that I won't ever be able to have again, especially because I reacted to them at such a high level. But other things like almonds and cranberry and things like that, I might be able to reincorporate. So did that test for 2 months. That was this past October. It's December, so I have been reincorporating things for about 2 months now, and it's really difficult. It's hard to pinpoint things sometimes, and I'm just naturally the kind of person who doubts things, so if I'm feeling a certain way, I'm like, well, am I really feeling that? I don't know. But you kind of just have to trust yourself. So that's something I'm working with and working on. It's an ever-growing process. But yeah, so I feel better in every sense of the word. And, you know, obviously when you do a diet like that, you're going to lose a little bit of weight. So I did lean out a little bit. But the reason why I am still holding true to, you know, making sure I don't have gluten and making sure I don't have dairy, because yeah, I could go eat it and just deal with what I've been dealing with my whole life. But I just felt so much better. Like, I didn't have that brain fog and that everybody talks about, and it's a real thing. Taylor used to like make fun of me when we first started dating because I would say like my brain feels foggy. But I just have clarity now. I can think better, I just feel better, my moods are better, and I don't feel like, you know, in the middle of the day when I'm like feeling sick, I'm like, okay, well, you know, I probably have like cancer or something. So I don't feel like that anymore. You know, I can have some, what is that called? Hypochondriac? One of those. I think I have everything under the sun pretty much. So that's calmed that down a lot. And I just feel, again, I just feel so much better, and it is life-changing. And when people say that, like, nutrition really does make a difference, it's so freaking true. I can't emphasize that enough. Like, going through this whole process has taught me just that. Like, your food you put into your body affects everything. It doesn't just affect how you look and if you know, gain fat, or if you like, you know, have shredded abs or whatever. Like, it can do that, but it affects so much more. It can affect your moods. It can affect the way you think, like everything I was just saying pretty much. And that is just something I didn't know, and that is something that has revolutionized the way I kind of live my life, and is something that I will constantly be bringing back up in this vlog or this channel, because I just want to get the message out there. Like, I was just so ignorant to it, and I feel like, you know, I'm not, like, I'm kind of up on some things. Like, I'm not, you know, up on everything. Like, I wasn't on the whole Uber kick for, you know, until after it came out and all sorts of things. Anyways, but I'm not, like, under a rock. So I feel like for me to not know that, there might be other people out there who are similar to that. So that's who I'm kind of trying to help here. And basically what I do now is I intuitively eat. And I think that my past with my childhood, where my mom made sure I had well-rounded meals, kind of set me up great for this, because I always make sure that I have a good protein source, a sustainable carb source and vegetables, lots of vegetables in there. The way I basically eat now when I go out, because, you know, not eating eggs, dairy, and gluten can make it real hard to go out. So I basically order sides. I've slowly become that person. And you know what? Like, if anybody else is in the same boat, just do it. Like, don't care about it. Just be nice to the waiter. Just apologize to him, you know, or him or her. Like, but people are receptive and they're nice as long as you are kind. So don't worry about it. Just do it. But yeah, I basically order sides when I go out. I will get, a lot of the times I get like chicken, rice or potatoes, vegetables, whatever vegetables they have, and then like avocado or something like that is a healthy source of fat because it will just kind of keep you fuller for longer and help your brain function. But it can make it hard. It has made me be a lot more creative in my own kitchen and at home, and it's kind of a blessing because I have always wanted to find healthier alternatives to some of the foods I've eaten, as in like some dairy foods, or you know, maybe not cane sugar and or refined sugar and things like that, and it kind of forced me to do that. With that said, like, I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian or anything like that. This is just my personal experience. So don't just say like, oh, she doesn't have cane sugar, so it must be bad, so I'm not gonna have it, because it might be okay with you and it might work fine with you. Do what makes you feel good and listen to your body and figure out how things work with your body. And so yeah, it just made me get a lot more creative in my own kitchen, and it has made me appreciate being at home more and appreciate home cooked meals. I know a big misconception is that if you start to eat healthier, you're going to have to like give up a lot of the foods that you love, or they're not going to be as flavorful, like you're going to be eating really plain like chicken, rice, veggies, da da da. But that's not true. Like, yeah, you might have to like cut down on some of the foods you were eating depending on what they were, but you can still have so much flavor and like really crave healthier options. Like, and I know everybody kind of preaches this, but it's true. And it's weird how now when I go back and eat some of the foods I used to, like hot Cheetos or whatever, like it is sickening how intense the flavor is. And like, not intense in like oh, it's so rich you can only eat like 2 pieces. It's intense in like, it is disgusting, you know? Like, when you get a lot of the like chemicals and crap out of your body that's in food nowadays, like highly processed food, you start to realize like how delicious and flavorful simple ingredients are, like salt and pepper and like paprika or whatever. That's one that I really like. And those things just taste so much better. They taste so much fresher, and they leave you feeling better. But it's all about changing your mindset and changing your taste buds. So you figure out what works for you and what you like, and you will crave those things. It's not like you have to eat kale because everybody else is eating kale. You eat what you like. So I don't really like kale, and I don't really care for spinach either, like cooked or whatever. I'm trying to work with it a little bit to like broaden my horizons, but we'll see. So what I do is I love zucchini, I love green beans, I love broccoli, I love Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, all that. So those are the things that I eat. And I crave those, and I have learned to, you know, what spices go on what and how to cook them and things like that. It's a long process. It takes a long time. There is no short way to go about it, and there's no quick fix. There are a lot of fad diets, and they can help you shed weight pretty quickly, but if you're not used to eating a healthy lifestyle and exercising properly and things like that, those fad diets are going to do nothing for you. You're going to go right back to the way you were, if not worse. And so just know that you can have all the things that you want and aspire for yourself and your body and your mental well-being. It just takes time. Give it time, be slow with it. This is almost 2 years for me approaching this, and you know, I'm still learning and still figuring this whole thing out. I also wanted to mention kind of my like mental well-being, because that has been a whole process with this as well. Like food affects that, like I was saying before, and like deficiencies in certain things. And so one thing my naturopath put me on too was an herbal tincture to kind of balance out my moods, and a couple of vitamins as well that I was deficient in that really kind of make a huge difference. And it's just incredible because, like, I remember even talking to my naturopath. Oh, hello. I remember even talking to my naturopath, and I was telling her, like, yeah, it's crazy how this stuff is working, da, da, da. And she just kind of looked at me like, why are you here if you didn't think it was gonna work? But I just, like I said, I'm a natural doubter, so it's just incredible how well these things work, and how natural products like that, like literally some of these, like one of the ingredients in the tincture she has is cinnamon, but cinnamon can elevate your mood. It's an anti-inflammatory, and it's like simple foods that can do these things for you. And I just feel a world, like I don't even know the term, like a world better than what I used to. Like I feel like better mentally, I feel better physically, and I'm just so happy that I have been able to have all the creators on different platforms to kind of get the gears going in my head to like realize like, okay, maybe something's not right, and to really pay attention to my body. And that's exactly what I want this channel to be. I want people out there who might be similar to me to kind of start to get thinking and to get moving, and just kind of share this whole experience together. And so if you have any questions about anything I talked about, or if you want to, like I said, if you want to share your story, or just anything, like just let me know in the comments below, and we can start up a conversation, I guess. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm thinking in a couple weeks time I'm going to be traveling to the Caribbean and to New Orleans. So I was thinking of doing a vlog for that. It'd be my first vlog. I don't know if you guys want to see that. So let me know. I can definitely do that. I think it would be kind of fun. I'm going to be doing some cool excursions. So yeah, thank you so much again for watching, and please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel, and stay tuned for the next video. I will see you next week.